This is where the list loses the call, so you won't be upset.
Damn.
But it was one where I think I'd sort of got into watching TV a bit more, hearing people talk. I think it was on a Golden Globe show one year and talking about this show. It's the Gilmore Girls, and
Yep,
then
just lost the call.
yeah,
It all fell
I
out.
told you. I would say guilty pleasure, but not really. It's not like a full-on drama, and that's maybe why it's not for you. And I was thinking, can I count this as a drama because it is quite light? But I suppose it's sort of like
Well, so is Teachers.
it's comfort TV. That's how I would describe.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched it, Gary? Because I know.
Yeah,
Luke's...
I've watched about 3 or 4 series of this.
I never knew that.
Like it.
You really like it as well?
Yeah, but I think for the same reason, it's not something I would ever want to watch every episode of. I feel I can watch an episode and it's just nice, comfortable telly.
As we were saying about sitcoms, I mean, this is probably the one that I've probably repeat versions of this. I've probably seen some episodes multiple times. And I believe the first UK broadcast of it was on Nickelodeon over here.
You're right.
Yeah,
wow, well remembered.
like 7 o'clock on Sundays, and then I got to talking to a friend about this. I bought the box sets. We started watching, and that's I think why it's remained with me, because one of my friends I used to buy the box set, and we sort of literally went through. I'd go to her house or her flat or something, and we watched the entire season over, say, 3 or 4 days. This has the sort of small town charm element, very different from Twin Peaks' small town. This is another small town, Stars Hollow in Connecticut, and a lot of the humour comes from the colourful characters who populate the town, and it's also about the relationships between mothers and daughters. Both the mother, played by Lauren Graham, Lorelai, and Alexis Bledell's character Rory, they're almost sort of best friends, and then the relationship between Lorelai and her mum Emily, and the parents there, they're very much sort of
I love the parents.
Connecticut based, like, you know, country clubs and all that. And she basically, as soon as she found out she was pregnant, didn't want to marry the dad, ran off to this small town, and has had a frosty relationship with the parents ever since. And the series sort of follows that relationship, trying to rebuild it over the years. And it's just great. I mean, that balance of drama and comedy.
These are Matt's Desert Island Dramas.
Maybe an intense weekend together was not the best idea for us. Maybe we need to start with something simpler.
Like what, a brisk walk around the block?
No, I hate exercise.
Oh, well, as long as you find this amusing.
Mom, come on. There has to be something else. Something small.
Like what?
This is my robe, and I want you to go into your room and get your robe, and then, exactly at the same time, we are gonna shove these robes in our suitcases, and we are gonna walk out that door and leave with them.
That's stealing.
Yes, it is.
You want me to steal a robe? That's how we're going to bond.
Mom, you love this robe. You've talked about nothing but this robe since we got here, so this robe will be symbolic of our trip together.
But that's crazy. As soon as they check the room, they're going to know the robes are gone, and then they're going to charge our credit card.
Well, how do you know?
Because that's what the little tag on the hanger says.
Well, the little tag on the hanger could be right, or the little tag on the hanger could just be there trying to scare us away from trying. Either way, whether we get away with it or not, it's something we did, you and I.
You're serious?
I'm folding this robe up.
Lorelai?
I am putting this robe in my bag.
That's lunacy.
I am zipping up the bag that contains the robe.
I have a perfectly good robe at home.
Now the only question is, am I doing it alone?
Did you ever steal a robe with Rory?
No, Rory would never steal. She's far too moral for that. You, however, vicious trollop. What's it gonna be?
You do know, in the course of one night, you've turned me into an adulterer and a thief.
I'll have you working at the chicken ranch by the end of the month.
I cannot believe I'm doing this.
The cast are great. The script is very, very fast paced. The dialogue just sort of moves very quickly, doesn't it, Gary?
And nothing really happens. I mean, it's
no,
fair to say
again,
there's not much action involved.
It's very much based around those characters, and those characters are written so well. Oddly, it's Melissa McCarthy who's gone on to do the most out of all of the cast members.
Preconception alert. Is it a girly show, would you say, Matt? Because that is the preconception people have.
Yeah, I think it is aimed at girls, but I think I just like it because it's a nice show to watch. And I mean, I enjoy things like this set around small towns. I mean, I watched Ed as well. I don't know if you remember Ed. That was the
God,
lawyer.
I remember Ed.
I don't remember
Crikey.
I mean, Ed had more sort of surreal elements to it, I would say.
I remember
But
fences, things like that.
it was very similar in that it was about the characters mainly and the small town. Was it Stuckyville? Gilmore Girls. I think everything about it just works. Dialogue as well. There's a lot of pop culture references in there. I think that appealed to me.
So, you mentioned Twin Peaks. The only connection between the two shows is that Gilmore Girls is coming back next. Have you grown out of it, do you think? Or will you be
No,
going
I
into
think
it?
the interest here is that the 7th season of Gilmore Girls was not written, the 7th and final season was not written by the Paladinos, the couple who wrote the first 6 seasons. They had a contract dispute with, I believe it's on, was it on the WB and then the CW?
WB, yeah.
So the last season was written by other writers on the show, and it just wasn't as good. And this is them coming back to finish what they started.
It's Netflix, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, yeah. For fans of the show, is like
The ending they
the
wanted.
ending that we've always wanted, because we haven't had what was originally conceived. Apparently, Amy Sherman Palladino always had the final 4 words of the series in her head that she never then got to put down. And a nice little link to Gary's show, number 1, The West Wing, as well. In the final episode, Rory went off to work for President Obama's campaign as a journalist to cover his campaign for president. It's very apt that his presidency is coming to an end as it's coming back. And again, a lot of, as I said, Melissa McCarthy, but a lot of the sort of male cast members like Jared Padalecki,
Supernatural.
Milo Ventimiglia went on to do Heroes, and I can never say his name, but Carrie from The Good Wife. And then like sort of people like Chad Michael Murray before he was in One Tree Hill, Adam Brody before he was on the OC. They all went through this first, so it was sort of the proving ground for a lot of actors. I mean, Alexis Bledel hasn't really gone on to do a lot. She's done a lot of like rubbishy films, and that remake of Gavin and Stacey that never did anything.
But she hasn't aged in her defence.
No.